Hi guys, today we'll be doing a dark photo manipulation. We are going to the horror side, but we'll keep it dark and classy. And we'll start off with this beautiful model that really fits the theme. She looks very mysterious. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to crop her out. And the reason that I'm cropping her out completely and I'm not masking her out is because I don't need the background at all. So I made a selection around her using this quick selection tool. The fact that the background is a plain color helps a lot. As you can see, it immediately chose almost perfectly around her. But I'm going to zoom in here on the hair and just make a slightly correction. And here as well. And let's erase this out. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background, and I chose this one as a background, but what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to try and build a room. I want to kind of make it look like it's square, so for this I'm going to edit, transform, and perspective, but I will zoom out so I can work with it and just drag this up like this and this down like this. And now drag this again, making sure it goes underneath. And also make sure that you have this line here joining, so it kind of makes sense. And also make sure that you put a shadow on here on both of them, you know, because they are quite far. So here and here, like this. Now merge them down into one single piece. Ctrl T on your keyboard. And just drag it down here. I'm gonna go ahead and slightly desaturate this, and also I'll go ahead and just slightly blur it like this. Okay, I'm going to work on the model next, so I'll just go ahead and liquefy her here. And I'll go ahead and erase this from her hair and from around her. Okay, once you're done with that, I'll just go ahead and slightly desaturate her because she's kinda yellowish for my vision, which is blue. So just go ahead and desaturate her a bit till it looks something like this. And now the fun part. We're going to paint her eyes white to make her look creepy. So create a new layer and call it white eyes. Choose a soft round brush. Make sure your opacity is somewhere around 24, 25. Pen pressure is on. On your brush settings, make sure you have shape dynamics on, and transfer put on pen pressure and also shape dynamics as well. And with the color picker tool, just make sure you take this white she already has in her eyes and start painting over. As you can see, I'm not over exaggerating because I still want her to look like, you know, you can still see her eyes somewhere behind. And what I'm going to do next, create a new layer and name it Eye Highlights. And with a very white brush, just go ahead and make sure you paint back these highlights here. And now it's time to enhance the makeup. Create a new layer and name it Makeup. Pick the black color and start painting out on a new layer. Make sure you put this layer on soft light. And time to bring out the lips more. Create a new layer and name it Lips. Choose a very dark red and paint over the lips. Put this one on soft light as well. As you can see, it kind of looks orange, so I'll go to hue and saturation and fix that. And this looks good for now. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mask for her eyes. So for this, I'm making out a selection, something like this. And this. Create a new layer. I managed to find a pattern that kinda looks like the one she has on her gloves. So what I'm going to do is fill this in with pattern and put it on multiply. Make sure you raise out the eyes. I think I'll just go with a straight mask, you know, something like this. It will be easier to bend. Now go to Edit, Transform, Warp. I'll just pull this up here and this one down here a little. And with a soft brush, going to erase the margins that go on to her hair. Maybe go back and warp it more here and just erase the side here. And now I'm going to start erasing like this, you know, like it's broken lace. Okay, create a new layer and name it Tears. I'm gonna make her look like she cried a little. So for this I'm choosing this lasso tool and dragging this down here and this one here. Right click, feather. Let's make it something like 4. This is good. Pick a black color, your brush. Now just go over it like this and like this. Oh, we're gonna fix this, don't worry. I just want to see how it looks. Probably it's easier if I just go ahead and paint it by hand. I'm going to select all this, hit Ctrl T and make the model slightly smaller. The reason that I'm going to do this is because I want to add something on her head and I need this space here for it. So I'll be picking this one, this skull here, and drag it over my image. I'll make it slightly smaller so it fits her head, but it still doesn't look odd. Okay. And now I'm going to delete. As you can see, it has some cracks here. I'm gonna try and follow them. Not sure about the nose yet. I'll see how it fits. I'm keeping the nose, but I'm making it slightly smaller so it doesn't cover the whole face. And I love how it blends here with the lace. I'm actually going to drag the lace up. Maybe make it slightly bigger. Like this. And now let's properly erase the skull. Okay, now create a new layer. Make sure it's underneath your skull layer. And name it extra hair. I just feel the side is kind of thin, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint some of the hair back. It's actually over it, but you get the point. And maybe even here. And I'll start with a very dark color. Make sure you keep picking colors, but make sure it's always and always from her hair. Set the opacity a little bigger so you can properly work. Make sure what's coming from underneath the skull is darker, because the skull keeps a shadow. I'll just go ahead and blend it with the original so I can work on it. And make it wavy. I'm going back to the background, and actually I'm going to desaturate it even more and darken it even more. Kind of like this, and create a new layer on the background and pick a color from the blocks next to the ones that look kinda too light. Make sure you have transferred clicked and pen pressure on. The opacity to something around 30. This one here clicked, and just paint over it. Put the layer on soft light. And just go and paint over it. And now with your eraser, just go ahead and slightly erase. Merge down, and let's blur it even more. And let's create a slightly light here so we can have a contrast between the model and the background. So make a selection, actually make it like this. Go to feather, 300, and with the curves, open this up, select the inverse, and darken it up. Now it looks good. Now let's go ahead and work on the skull. I'm gonna make a selection right here, feather, 100, select the inverse, and darken it up to something like this. I'm gonna go to liquify and slightly drag this hair. It doesn't look that big. Good. Another thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to bring her bum out more, and I think I'm going to delete Or maybe just a slight here. Okay, this looks nice. This is good. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a bunch of crows. And I know this ones look kinda 3D-ish, but I can assure you they look okay enough for what we need. The realistic ones are going to be the ones that will be in the front, so these are going to get blurred anyway. So just make sure you drag them onto the scene. For now, just place them where you feel, you know, they fit. And we're going to go mad with them after we place them all. Once you feel you have them kinda right, merge them into a single layer, go ahead and desaturate them. Also go ahead and make them even darker, like this. And now go ahead and just blur them out, like this. And now duplicate the layer, transform, flip it, turn it, and just play around until you're satisfied. For now, I think that the swans look good for the background, so I'm going to pick some realistic ones now to bring to the front. Okay, and now let's drag this raven over here and make sure you get rid of this white line around it. Okay, now I'm going to place this here. I'm gonna go ahead and slightly desaturate it, and also make sure the lightning fits in my selection here, and darken it. And also going to blur out the feathers here into a motion blur. Kinda look like it's moving. And also select this ones. And here too. So we have a realistic one here. Maybe darken this beak up. I think it draws too much attention there. And now with the second realistic crow, which I'm going to put here, and slightly desaturate this one as well, and repeat the process, which means motion blur. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge all these background birds into one single layer and probably make them slightly smaller. Like this. And make sure here where you have the light, make selection, put it to a 200 feather, go to image adjustments levels, and drag it like this, you know, so they are slightly lighter than the rest. And now with the background, let's enhance the side here. Again, same thing, but the feather to 400. Drag it up from curves, select inverse, and drag it down. Now let's go back to the skull and make a selection here, put it 70 and drag it down. And now because the light is coming from behind, I'm going to make a selection here on the horns and here. Right click feather 20, go to image adjustments levels and slightly drag it up, and also make sure you do the same here and here. And now as a final touch, I want to add something behind her that will make her stand out. So I'm going to go with the sparkles and I'm picking this one. And I'm putting it behind her. Make sure you set the layer to screen and it will look something like that. But I'm gonna turn it around to have this going down and make it bigger. Okay, now merge everything, go to image adjustments, photo filter, and go with this cooling filter here. Go to image adjustments, color balance. Drag the highlights to something like this, but go to selective color and all make sure you bring this red back for a really nice and crisp contrast. Let's try with hue and saturation as well. Increase the reds. Make some sort of vignette here. Feather. 400 inverse. Darken it up and select inverse again and light it up. And well, mostly this is it. You can add more crows if you want, or ravens, or however you wish to call them. You can choose to add the sparkle behind her or not. This is my own version of it, and I hope you enjoyed it.